Hey guys, just a heads up, I'm going to go ahead and do the end of day recap here in just a minute. So I posted the video of the screen share for today for the recap if you guys want to tune in and watch my screen as I go over that. Um, I also just posted a list of some of the stuff we were watching today that I'm going to be going over in the comment section. Alright guys, let's go ahead and hop into this recap. So, this morning, I kind of woke up a little bit late, so I do apologize about that. But I was able to get to my desk right before the market opened. So what I saw this morning um, was SMSI, which gapped up. It was one of the only gappers that I was really interested in the morning. So my focus was on SMSI this morning. Um, also, Snap was on the watch list from last night, so that was on my watch list for the morning. That was another one that I was focused on, as well as BYND. This was off the watch list from last night. What else was gapping up? I think HBIO gapped up a little bit, so that was on radar. Let's see. And then yeah, there's a few others. I'll start off with SMSI. Let me take a look at something. So actually, SMSI was actually on the watch list from last night because it ended up gapping up in after hours. So if you read the watch list, I put gapping up after hours will keep on watch if we hold 440 for long setups. Needs huge volume. So really nice setup there. Basically in pre-market, I was looking at this 460 as a key level. So I kind of mentioned to you guys for long setups on SMSI, I want to see it trade sideways above 460 and then set up for a long. And it kind of got extended at the open, ended up breaking through that 460, which I did mention that breakdown. And so we got a nice morning fade on SMSI. But later in the day, we kind of got this short squeeze through 460, and that put it back on my radar. So if you guys go to the mod only alerts channel, I did post SMSI right before I left for lunch, and I just put if we hold 460 to 470, look for long setups over lunch. And that's basically exactly what we got. We got consolidation over this 470 level with good support, and then we broke out. So a decent long opportunity, or actually really good long opportunity on SMSI in the afternoon over this 480 level. So if you took that long on this little flag, you're basically risking off of like 470 or 480. So you might be risking 10 to 20 cents, to make about 60 cents so far. So really good risk reward there on SMSI. This is gonna be main watch on Monday, so we'll keep this one on watch. Great job to those that nailed it. I think Ryan caught it at 5 and sold some up here, so really nice job. Um, I'll go over a couple more. REKR, this was actually on the watch list from last night. So on the watch list, I'm thinking it's probably going to bounce and fade. But if we reclaim 480 with solid support, I'll keep an open bias. So basically, it didn't end up popping and rejecting. It actually ended up doing the second thing that I mentioned on the watch list, which was reclaiming this key 480 level. It got really extended, but that 480 level held, and then it was kind of a choppy stock, but there was some opportunities near 480 here in 5. Uh, as of now, it's kind of trading sideways. We'll keep it on watch tomorrow. If it gets back above 520, we can look for long setups. If it rejects 520 tomorrow and puts in a lower high, we can look for $5 to break and for a short back down. If you look on the daily chart on REKR, there is a lot of resistance near this 550 level. So we'll kind of see if we hold over 520 tomorrow and then break out through all-time highs, or if it fades back down. So that's REKR. Another thing I want to mention on SMSI. Um, so a lot of things I do, to spot out support and resistance levels. Besides the daily chart, one thing you guys want to start doing is drawing out these lines in pre-market, because a lot of times you can use pre-market support and resistance after the market opens, and if it conforms to spots in pre-market, you can kind of use those. So for example, 440, that's the reason why I said 440 was important on the watch list last night, was because of this pre-market level, right? You have 440 acting as support right here. It broke down and then it reclaimed 440. You also have kind of this 460 support level right here. And then, you have this 475 high of day in pre-market. 475 was kind of the highs there. So you want to mark out the key support levels in pre-market. Maybe you even want to mark out the lows and the highs. And that will really help you, because as you can see, we held 440 and then we reclaimed this 460, which was a key level in pre-market. And then from there, pre-market highs held as support. So pre-market highs or resistance turned into support during the day and set up a nice long. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys to understand why I say, the prices that I say in the watch list. It's just based off of, a lot of these levels. So another thing I want to point out on SMSI is the daily chart. Um, I use gaps, like gaps on the daily charts. I like to spot those out and kind of use those as significant support and resistance levels. And something as small as this, right? See this little gap right here on the daily chart on SMSI 727.15. So this was 2 years ago. It was a long time ago, but I like to use levels like that. So we have a clear support level at 450 on the daily chart, and then we also have this little gap right here, right? So this gap from 460 to 470. So it's little things like this that I look for. It might not seem like a big deal, this little gap, but a lot of times those little gaps on the daily chart, they play key levels on the 1 minute chart, right? So we have a gap from 460 to 470 right here on the daily chart. And then, you look at the 1 minute charts, and where did we set up for the long? Exactly at that 460 to 470 gap level on the daily chart. So that's something you guys want to consider. I mean, you don't have to always sometimes those gap levels don't really mean too much, but sometimes they can be pretty spot on. So that was a good lesson on SMSI, on daily chart gaps, and also pre-market highs and lows, um, which I plan on actually doing a video lesson here pretty soon. But I figured I'd give you guys kind of a lesson to go over in this recap. Let me just go over a few other things that we had on the watch list. REKR. I already went over that one. Sorry. OBLN. If you guys look at the watch list from last night on OBLN, this was, last night. So this was before this run up even happened. This was already on my radar. So why was it on my radar? If you see this gap up from 60 cents all the way to $5, that gap up was actually a reverse split. So a reverse split is basically the stock is going to gap up, and then the float of the stock is gonna decrease. So basically, the stock is going up, but the value of the stock is basically staying the same, and the float is smaller. So a lot of people, they like to pump up those reverse splits because the float is smaller than before, and it takes less shares to move the stock now. So if you read from the watch list from last night, OBLN, I basically said reverse split, trade very cautiously, but if we hold 550 with solid support, can look for long setups, needs huge volume or avoid, right? So why am I saying 550? The reason is because 550 after the reverse split yesterday, 550 was that key level, right? It did, it had this consolidation at the open, it broke down. So if this key level right here acts as support or breaks through, then, that can cause a squeeze from anyone that was short from the day before. It's also a reverse split. So as you can see, that 550 level that I mentioned on the watch list last night, as soon as it broke 550, we got to move all the way up till 725. So these levels that I say on the watch list, they're not just made up levels. They are actually, legit levels that should have reaction if, it leads up to that. So that's something to kind of study. So after I saw this big move here, I knew it was extended and it was going to pull back. If you go to the mod only alert channel, I put there OBLN from the watch list. It's halted pretty extended here, but just keeping an eye on it after it unhalts, right? So it pulled back and it actually set a base near 650. So there was actually a long opportunity. Someone in chat even actually asked about it as well. So you have, this little flag or wedge. So if you took that long from the 650 support level, you're risking off of this last support, which was like 640 or 638. So 10 to 20 cent risk, and you're looking at a couple dollars to the upside. So really nice opportunity on OBLN. Um, so that's a good lesson on reverse splits for you guys. And let me see what else we have on the watch list that I might want to go over. So Snapchat, what did I say on the watch list from last night on Snapchat? Snapchat, I said on the watch list from yesterday, if we reclaim 1780 with solid support, look for long setups. If weak, can also look for breakdown to short. So that was yesterday on the watch list for today. So if you go back to yesterday, if you're wondering why did I say 1780 for long setups, it was because 1780 was a big level from yesterday. As you can see, it broke down through that 1780 level. So if we reclaim this level, then that's a good sign that it could squeeze a lot of people out and set up for long. And that's exactly what happened today. We actually formed a bull flag, or a flag here. And guess where that was at? It was exactly at that 1780 level, right? So I actually called that out this morning, 1780. Keep an eye on that level for longs or potential breakdown, and it ended up flagging. So, 1780 if you bought near there, risking 5 to 10 cents, and you got a nice 30 to 40 cent move on the upside. So good call out on Snapchat. There was also a nice fade back down. I'll also go over a few more SLS from the watch list last night. Um, as you can see, 15 cents is kind of a key resistance level on the daily chart on SLS. So on the watch list, I said look for long setups if we hold over 15 cents. So the reason I said that is because you have this pre-market 15-cent level, and then you have daily chart 15-cent level. So it made sense to use that as a key support level. And as you can see, we formed a flag, and that was right above that 15-cent level. So let's say you bought 15 or 0.155, risking, half a cent to make, about 3 cents of potential upside. So that's 3 to 1 risk reward. So good opportunity there on SLS. We actually did mention that one this morning. And just a few more, guys. We're almost done. HBIO was another one that I kind of alerted today. I saw this 240 level, and I mentioned we might get a little breakdown through 240, and that did end up happening, but it went to only 230, and then it ended up reclaiming that key level and setting up for a long. So whenever you see a flag like this or a wedge break down, if it reclaims that support level from the wedge, then you can you can keep that on watch for long setups, once that previous support level turns into support again. So that's actually a really good long setup. I see it happen, over and over again. Someone asked a question yesterday about what was the stock? REKR. I think it was Dota Math. One of the members, he asked why I said 450 was a key level on REKR yesterday. And it's because of what I just mentioned earlier. It's because this wedge that broke down at 450, it reclaimed later in the day, so that 450 was a key level. So you guys can kind of see the similarities on REKR. That 450 wedge broke down, but it actually ended up reclaiming and setting up for a flag long. So REKR, now you can compare that to HBIO. Same exact setup as yesterday, right? On REKR, except for on this one, it was 240 wedge breakdown and then reclaimed and then, set up for a bigger picture flag there. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And let me see if there's anything else that I can just go over that might be helpful. I'll just go over BYND as well since that was on the watch list. I think I mentioned on the watch list if we hold. Let me check really quick. So yeah, BYND on the watch list. I kind of saw this 230 level in after hours, so that was kind of a significant level for me. So I basically put if we hold 230 on BYND, look for long setups, right? That was on the watch list last night. I said that because of this, after hours, support 230 broke down and then reclaimed. So at 230 was kind of a key level. But what happened at open is it ended up gapping up in pre-market. So it was already really extended from yesterday. So I figured we'd get a pullback, and it actually ended up giving you a setup at that 230 level. Um, So that's just another example of where I got that level from last night, This was the day before that I mentioned that 230 level. It wasn't, it wasn't after the fact. So if you guys are able to spot these significant levels, you can use them to your advantage by having these levels pre-planned ahead of time, and seeing if the chart kind of conforms to those levels that you spot out. And as you can see, I mentioned 230 last night, and it ended up conforming perfectly to that 230. So you can see we set up a bull flag right through 230. So if you're risking off a 228, maybe a few dollars from this breakout, it ended up going, and retesting these pre-market lows. So not a whole lot of follow through, but I'm just trying to emphasize where I'm getting these levels that I kind of point out from the watch lists. And I think I pretty much covered everything for today. I went into a lot of detail in this recap, so I'm probably going to use this as a members only video. For those that miss it, it'll be a great video to kind of rewatch. If you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.